Greetings, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Pretty Lonesome. This week, you may observe we're in a new place. Well, a new old place. We're back in my truck. Yup. Why haven't we been in my truck for a period of time? I hear you all ask in unison. And to that, I respond, because it went poo-poos the engine. Need you to know, was driving this as my main vehicle. Like grocery store runs, I was coming in a fucking vintage pickup truck for no reason at all. And like, as fun as that is, and I genuinely think it's fun, it just felt like maybe it was time to get a car that had an airbag, you know? Because I know that my parents worry about me slightly, and like I go home quite a lot, and like every time I go home, I make an effort to go see my mom and my dad. And we run through the normal questions, and my dad always asks me, like, how's the car, how's the truck, how's the house, like, how are your do you have any maintenance problems? Because that's, I think, his love language. And then I'm, like, biting my tongue, like, no, everything is fine. Everything is fine. And my vehicle has an airbag in it, and also it has a seatbelt. Why are you asking crazy questions? Guys, it has a lap belt, for sure, but no seatbelt, and also no airbag. And, like, my rationale when I would drive this, I'd be like, well, if I get in a crash with someone, this car is so high up off the road that maybe it'll just be fine. Like, they'll just plummet into like this, like it'll graze my ankle. I don't know. But the point is, I traded in for a safer car, and I left this one, and I shouldn't have. And I think that I'm going to do it up a bit, send it to the garage, get it probably a new battery, probably a new belt of some kind. I think it's the belt that needs, I don't know, it's the fucking phalange, bitch. Like, I'm pretending that I know what it is because I've had similar problems with my old cars at home that used to fucking break all the time, but I don't know. Anyways, it's not important, nor is it interesting. Let's get into the substance of this week's episode, shall we? By the way, last week, I was in such a weird place mentally when I filmed last week's episode, and I filmed it literally like the day before you guys saw it or something insane, because I was late on the episode because there had just been certain things that had gone down in my own life behind the scenes that just made it physically impossible for me to film an episode in time for the normal release. And that's why, by the way, you should have a good schedule, and that's why you should pre-record things. It's just not how I like to roll. No. I like to stress not only myself, but everybody around me out. So I film by the week, baby. You guys are getting the most up-to-date thoughts from my little head at all fucking times. Yep. And that's why sometimes the episodes are late, because sometimes crazy shit happens in life, and I'm like, I can't film a podcast right now. So in all of my haze, is it called haze? Is that the right word? No, in all of my life's disasters and personal situations that I was in, and just like things that stopped me filming and then ended up making me film in kind of a rush about something that I was just like, fuck, what am I going to talk about? I forgot to debrief the Summer I Turned Pretty finale. And I can only ask that you forgive me for that, okay? Because you guys know how I feel about it. So number one, I was in the same room as Conrad Fisher over Paris Fashion Week. I just need us all to like sit in that feeling. Can you imagine the feeling? Okay. Now imagine the feeling when I get in the car after I leave that room and someone tells me, hey, did you see Conrad Fisher? He was just in there. And I said, he was in where? Oh yeah, the same fucking room as me. I'm fucking devastated. I'm devastated. The thing is though, I don't want to see him, and I'll tell you why. Okay. And this is nothing against the man. I'm sure he's lovely. Christopher Briney. I don't know who that is. Do you know what I mean? I don't really care. Not because I'm not in awe of his talent and think that he has a promising career and think that he deserves every ounce of success, and I'm extremely happy for him. I just don't want to think that Conrad Fisher is played by somebody, by this imposter called Christopher. And it's like, I'm so deeply parasocial with The Summer I Turned Pretty. Even now, even after the finale, I am so deeply parasocial by the way, in a way I never have been before. The only other time that I was parasocial in this way was with Maya Hart from Girl Meets World, okay? And that was really bad, and it affected me for years. Actually, it still does. But it's like, when I get obsessed in that kind of a way, hey, I don't want to know about the actor. I don't want to watch the interviews. I don't want to know your dynamic with the actress in real life. I don't want to hear about the theories and the fan conspiracies that they're secretly in love or that they hate each other or that everyone shut up, you're crazy and it's not real and we don't know these people. And I don't wish to know these people. Why can't you guys revel in something good for once? This goes out to all the people who want to talk about Lola Tongue and Christopher Briney. Shut the fuck up. They're not real, okay? They're not real. They're characters. You know who is real? Belly and Conrad. And I don't want to hear anything else, okay? When you talk about their dynamic in interviews and whether or not they look at each other, it's like, oh my God. Like, get with it. Get in the real world, okay? You're crazy and you're not living in the same reality as the rest of us. Like, those aren't real people, and we don't need to be so concerned about their relationship, okay? We need to be concerned about Belly and Conrad. Now, I have seen that there is going to be a movie, and I'm going to probably shit my pants when it comes out. And I saw somewhere, and I don't know if this is confirmed, that it's going to follow their relationship post-series. Now, if this is true, I'm going to need them to put a 18 plus rating on that shit, because I need to see penetrative sex. I'm so sorry. And I know that that is completely out of left field and so inappropriate to say, and that they are people with real lives. And despite what I say about not wanting to know, I know they have real lives, and I know that they have partners, and I know that this is completely inappropriate and sexualizing people. And it's like, please don't think I'm not self-aware. It's just that I'm out of control. You know, it's like getting drunk and texting the guy that you like. It's like, I know what I'm doing, and I know how bad it is, and look, I'm going to do it anyways. It's one of those. And I'll get over it in time. Maybe this will heal. Time heals all wounds, but I don't want this one to heal. Okay, it's like, you know when you're fresh out of a breakup and people tell you like, oh my God, like, babe, I know it hurts right now, but give it 3 months and you are going to be so much lighter, and like, you may not be over it, but you're going to be, you just need to wait. You just need to, time heals all wounds, and this is not going to last forever. And in that first moment of being in a breakup, at least for me, I always think, I don't want to not miss them. I love them. I'm in love with them. The thought of not missing them, the thought of not hurting this much makes me feel sick. That doesn't soothe me. I mean, it soothes me that you're telling me I'm not always going to be in pain, and I hear it a bit. But in that moment, it's like, no. But that thought in and of itself to me is painful. Like, I'm already grieving the loss of my love for them. I'm grieving their loss of love for me, and now you want me to grieve my loss of love for them preemptively? Fuck you. You know, it's like, there's no reasoning with a madman. And I am a madman. I don't care. Hey, fuck it. I'll say it. Okay, wait, hold on. I got a text. Oh, anyways. So, anyway, I thought that, so I had been indulging in all the discourse about maybe there's going to be more episodes, and maybe this isn't really the finale, and they're tricking us, and yada, yada, yada. And I had honestly hoped, hold on, I need to check my face. Is it ugly? My makeup looks fucking insane because my skin is having the worst breakout that I think I've ever had in my life. Anyways, in the vein of thinking about the summer I turned pretty, okay, I want you guys to know something about me. Yeah? Conrad. The only thing that makes me curious about Christopher is the way that Conrad yearns. I truly believe you can't act that. Like, okay, there is a type of acting that is in the eyes. And it's not to say that there are actors that I think are so talented and they are completely convincing of their parts. They're so creative. But then there's different actors who genuinely have something in their eyes. And I always say, and everyone always says, this is not my saying, the eyes are the window into the soul, okay? And like, I believe you can change your face. I believe you can change your expression. I believe you can sell something, a feeling, without having this. But like, it's so rare to see something so strong in someone's eyes. Like, there are many different ways that you can sell yearning, I'm sure, as an actor. But like, he is surely a bit like this in real life. Like, the way that his eyes soften at points is, okay, you know when you're in love with someone and you look at them and you physically feel your eyes soften? You physically feel this, like, you're almost damp with affection and like softness. And like, there have been very few times in my life that I have been in this state. And I'm not going to lie to you, I love it. Like, it's been a while for me since I felt this like feeling of I am smitten, but it's not even smitten. It's like, I love you. Like, I adore you. Like, that feeling. And you physically can tell your eyes soften, and like the facial expression that you involuntarily have when you feel that way for someone. I've seen it once, twice, maybe. I think maybe twice. And I've seen it when other people have looked at me. Like, I've been in love, and I can never tell if someone is truly in love with me, because people can tell you a lot of things, right? I always know if I'm in love with someone else, but to really believe that someone else is in love with you can be tricky, for me at least. Like, am I just supposed to believe that when you say it? I'm like, you can show me in so many ways, but a lot of people can be really good and really decent and really loving, and it doesn't mean they're in love with you. In love is so intense. It's so rare too. Like, at least for me, it's a very, very rare experience that I've had very few moments of in my life. And I have only seen that same look that I can feel without looking in a mirror. I can feel that look on my own face. I can feel my eyes soften. And I've only seen someone look at me that way. I know once, I think twice. And it's also rare. Like, if you're in love with someone, that's not going to happen every time you look at them. Sometimes you just are with someone, around someone, and that feeling comes over you. And it's just like, oh, you know, or you see someone out in public and you haven't seen them in a long time, and maybe you still love them. And it's like, you think you're going to be angry, or you think you're going to be able to look away or not interested. And it's like, you see them and you're like, you feel something in your face soften, and it's involuntary. And it's like that. True yearners know this feeling, okay? And I am one of them, and I cannot fucking tell you how deeply I appreciate Conrad's expression of true yearnership. And it's like, bitch, if you know, you know. I can't explain this. If you don't get it, you just say that, okay? But if you do get it, you get it. And this is a fact about myself that I've mentioned, but I just like try not to put online because I'm like, this shit's so embarrassing. But fuck it. We're in the spirit of yearning. I am the worst yearner in the fucking world. And it is so horrifically bad. At points, I've considered going to therapy over it, because I'm like, at what point is this true love? At what point is this yearning? At what point is this limerence? And at what point am I fucking point blank insane? Conrad, oh my God, bitch. Conrad said one thing in the last episode. I have long since identified with that man in almost everything that he has fucking ever done on the show. But he said something in the last episode, and I was like, he is so me. It is sick. I think that Jenny is literally in my walls. He said, Belly asks Conrad how she knows, how he's so sure that he loves her. And he says to her, because I've changed every single thing about myself, and the only part of me that never changes is the fact that I love you. Bitch, when I heard him say that, I genuinely nearly threw up, pissed and shit. And I have been saying this verbatim for years. I have been in experiences where I have not been able to stop loving someone, and I have changed everything about myself, and everything in my life has changed completely. And the only fucking thing that remains is the fact that I would choose them, and I love them, and I miss them, and I'm happy that they are alive. And it's like this deep yearning of like, you are literally just part of me now. Like, you are, I love you. And that is it. That's all I can say. Like, that experience is so mind-blowing that it's like, and it honestly was a formative experience for me, was going through this kind of an emotion, because it taught me a lot that I now really value about how I love. And I think that for me, I always try and question how I feel about someone in a lot of different ways. And one of the ways in which I know almost like when this happens, I can start to define the way I feel about them as like, I think I'm in love with you, or I really love you, is that it's completely selfless. And I don't mean that in the sense that in our relationship, I am just not going to put forth my needs or ever put them at a level of discomfort because I need something to change. What I mean by selfless is, and the best way I can explain it is, if you are better off without me, or if you need to leave me, even for a period of time or forever, because there is something you need to be or do and it doesn't involve me, if that is what is better for you, I will happily let you go. And there is obviously all kinds of sadness, and like, you want to be with the people that you love, but to find genuine joy, genuine happiness, and genuine peace in letting someone you truly love go when it is right for them, that is selfless. And that is how I define like, oh, I loved you. A sense of peace, or a sense of joy, or a sense just happiness for them. And if expression doesn't soften on my face when I think about them and what they might be doing, achieving, feeling, and the fact that the world is getting to experience them and that they are experiencing the world. If that doesn't bring me happiness, I don't personally think that I loved them. And I think it's also very complicated because there are people that you can be in love with and that can really, really hurt you. And it's like, do I fucking feel joy when I think about you out there having fun? Well, no. But I don't know what that is. I think that love is so complicated. Humans are so complicated and you can feel a lot of different things. But for me, I think love is almost like beyond the realm of within the realm of what's normal, right? I'm not talking about people who are fucking abusive and crazy and hurtful. But if you love someone and you get hurt in a regular way, you know, and the relationship ends and it's sad and it's maybe a bit hurtful and it's whatever. But in the realm of normality, all that hurt aside, you still just feel peace and joy thinking of them out in the world being happy and safe. That to me is like Yearning certification bullshit because, oh my God, I could talk about this all fucking day. And like being this kind of a lover girl, and it's so normally something I suppress about myself because I'm like, I sound crazy. I sound fucking crazy. Like, and also it's just like, shut up, you know? Like no one wants to hear about this. It's gonna make everybody puke and cry. And it's like, okay, sorry, I'll shut up. But like, he's really got me in the mood to be like owning of my yearnership because he validated me, I think. I was like, oh my God, I'm not crazy. And then seeing everyone say like that he's nice for saying those things and that he not calling him insane, I'm like, period. Maybe I'm not crazy either. Maybe I'm just, you know, an idiot and like a yearner, but it's fine. Hey, okay, it's fine. Anyway, enough of that. I just had to almost certify myself there for a sec. Because I've never heard, I've said this before, that one of the only places that I've seen the way that I feel love represented in like media was when I read the Song of Achilles. And again, like I'm a big reader, but I'm not a big fiction reader. So it's like, maybe there's better representations. Fuck, I don't know. It's like one of the only fiction books I've like ever read, or read in my adulthood. But the way that Patroclus, I never know, loves Achilles is, I resonate with that. Yeah. There's one part in the Song of Achilles where, well, there's two parts. I'll quote them now. It's like the way that his feet struck the earth, the way that his breaths left his lungs, some bullshit like that. And then it's like, I would know him blind. I would know him in death. And it's like, I feel you, Patroclus. And then also he says, and I've never been able to find this quote. It's like such a niche quote that it's not in like the best quote lists that are on the internet. 'Cause trust me, I've fucking looked. And I'm going to have to just reread the book to find it because also I typed in loads of keywords when I bought the book on Apple Books and I still couldn't find it. I think I've like massively misquoted it in my brain probably. But the point is, he says something to the effect of that every night after they go to war or they start whatever it is, like the fight that they go to at the end of the book, he says that every night Achilles comes back to the tent and that Achilles kind of becomes this like almost traumatized, like he's going through a scary experience. Patroclus is like kind of struggling with the whole thing. His boyfriend's out like genuinely murdering 1 million people a day and he's like, I don't know how I feel. And then he's in a tent and he's like, oh my God. And then Achilles comes back to the tent and Patroclus says something like, every night he gets to come back and I let him talk and tell me all the stories of the battle and he becomes Achilles again. Like he tells me the stories and then he softens and he becomes that Achilles that I know again. He becomes himself. Bitch, oh my fucking God. Like to be with someone and to love them through what it is they're going through and to like watch them become themselves and see them through whatever it is that they're experiencing in life and whatever's changing them and just, oh my God, bitch, I need to shut the fuck up. But it's like, oh, this kind of stuff feeds me. It's the blood in my veins is characters in fiction who yearn. Not that I believe that Somewhere I Turn Pretty is fiction by any means, and I will stand on that. But yeah, my point with all of this is, well, I don't have one. I never do. I'm just talking to talk, okay? What I wanted to talk about this week is actually dating, okay? Because I guess I've been thinking a lot about love and whether or not it is necessary to be in relationships and how I love as a person. Because genuinely, Conrad did kind of spiral me. Like, I know I'm kind of joking about... Actually, I'm not joking at all. Like, no one thinks I'm joking. I haven't laughed once. But it's like, I know that the whole yearner thing is like, I sound a bit insane. And people even accused Conrad of being a bit insane at one point in the series. They were like, he doesn't even know her anymore. What? How can he say he's in love with her? And I'm like... Don't say that. Don't say that. Okay. I'm in love with people I haven't seen in 10 fucking years. And no one's gonna take that from me. Okay? Anyways. What was my point? Oh, dating. So I was thinking about it. And I was thinking about how I am such a lover girl and such a yearner and just like love so much. And I love loving people. And however, it's a very rare experience for me. And when it does happen, it's very profound for me. And it's very special. And it's hard for me to even like anybody. Like I just don't really fuck with anyone in that capacity. I'm so locked up and private, and I don't like people seeing my body. I don't like people seeing me. I don't like really having sex with anyone unless I'm in love with them, because to me, sex is nothing really without intimacy. I like having sex with someone because I like to see them having sex. I like to see that person being sexual. I don't like sex because it's sex. I like sex because someone that I like is in that experience, and I like to see it. Okay. Anyway, that was kind of disgusting. Sorry. Anyway, I'm so horny. Ovulating. Sorry. But no, I'm actually not ovulating, by the way. But regardless, I'm horny all the time, though. I hate sex. Horny all the time. 24/7. Sex. Always horny. And it's like my heart's horny. It's like I want to yearn. And when I don't have someone specific to yearn over, I saw a TikTok and it was like, my yearning is generalized right now. I know that feeling. Me too. I mean, I don't know who it is that I'm like wistfully longing for listening to my fucking sad music. I've been listening to a lot of, is it Tom Odell lately? I've been listening to the Don't Cry, Put Your Head on My Shoulder song. Oh my God. And I yearn and I yearn and I yearn, but for who? No one knows. No one, like genuinely no one knows. Anyways, what was my next point? My next point was, oh yeah, being single. And having all these feelings and being single anyway, I think is interesting. I think everyone should be single for an extended period of time at some point in their youth. That is my stance. You will not be convincing me otherwise. I also have said previously that there were times in my life where I insisted on being single, or just was single by chance. There was just no one I liked, and if there was, they didn't like me back. And this was all throughout my university experience where I was mostly single. Other than like 1 year during like COVID where I moved home and wasn't single. But it's not the point. Point is, I almost wish that I had let myself date for fun a bit more and taken it a bit less seriously during university at certain points. Because for me, uni was so stressful. I was so strict with myself at uni. I was so stressed. I was under so much academic pressure that I put on myself. And I look back and I'm like, I fucking wish I had just maybe found a little partner. And I don't ever truly mean, like, I wouldn't go back and change it if I could, because I think that everything happens the way that it should. And at least with things like that, I think so. And I think that it had a great impact on me. I think I really learned how to survive alone. I think that I became very independent. I think if I hadn't figured out during that time who I am, what I like, and how to cope truly alone, I would have a sense of self-doubt lingering in the back of my mind, if not in the forefront of my mind, if not in everything I do now. So I am really grateful that I spend that time alone, but I also just kind of, companionship can be a great tool. And I don't think that you have to be in love or be completely committed to every relationship you have in your life, as long as you guys are on the same page about where you're at, what your expectations are, what your hopes are, and how you're feeling. There shouldn't be a big disparity in how mutual those things are. But I think that there is so much power in companionship, in company. I think relationships can, if they're healthy, lift you up. They can teach you what you like. They can be a great tool for survival. And I don't want to sit on my high horse in my life where my work is social media and tell people that they should choose more discomfort in their own lives, right? Like when I was living in the quote unquote the fucking real world, and I had jobs and I had school and I had responsibilities and I had bills to pay, and well, I still have bills to pay, but the bills were stressing me out significantly more back then. And I'm trying to basically, if that version of me had someone in a significantly more comfortable position financially say, you should sacrifice your want for companionship and your longing for love, because it's going to make you a more stable and better person. And you're going to learn what you want a lot more through a little bit more hardship. I would tell them probably to suck their dick, even if that was my plan anyway. I'm not saying that either opinion is right or wrong. I'm just saying that I think that they can be useful. And I think that there are times in my life where maybe I could have benefited from employing that tactic and just kind of taking things slightly less seriously and allowing myself a bit more grace and a bit more pleasure and a bit more support. I don't know. But I also think, with that said, I think that what I learned from being single for so many years, like I'm a very big single person. I'm very pro single. Even when I'm in relationships, I'm very pro single. And what I mean by that is, like, I think it's, number one, partly because I was raised with a single mum, and that was a good circumstance for me. I know it's not the same for everyone, and my mum might even tell you otherwise, because obviously it was hard for her. And my mum's also a disabled woman, and not that that impairs her ability to care for me in any way, but obviously parenting is hard enough for an able-bodied person. And I'm by no means saying that that wasn't kind of an unnecessarily difficult experience for my mum that could have been aided by being in a relationship. In the relationship she obviously thought that she was in. But for me, as the kid who didn't see who didn't see the depth of her struggle, or really any of her struggle, when my parents broke up, I was 6. And obviously it was very sad. I didn't really understand what they meant. But I remember that my mum phrased it to me like we were going to have an all-girls household. And to make it fun, we were going to do something that my dad, the boy, would never have let us do, which was we were going to go to the pet store and we were going to get hamsters, which me and my sister really fucking wanted hamsters. And we were like, and my mum was like, but they have to be girl hamsters. And we were like, sickest fucking day of my life. Best day ever, dare I say. And so that was the way that my childhood felt, which was very like, this is the way of life. And I've said this before, all my mum's friends growing up were single, and they were all single women, and most of them had daughters, at least a few daughters per friend. And so I just really grew up, I never had an example of a married pair of adults. I didn't know anyone whose parents were married growing up. And then I did meet someone whose parents were married when I was, I think, 11. And I thought that she was a fucking freak. I'm going to be so honest. She would be like, yeah, my dad said this and my dad's right about things. And I'd be like, your man father is right. Are you fucking crazy? Are you insane? And like, I liked my dad and I like didn't think that he was stupid or anything, but she was just like such a daddy's girl. And she would be like, yeah, my dad said blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, tell your dad I said shut the fuck up. Truly, I've been a man hater my whole life. Like, why would a man be here? Why would a man be here? I'd be at my friend's house. Their fucking dad would come home. What? You have one of these? Can he leave? What the fuck? Bro, I remember one time my friend was at a sleepover at my house, okay, from before my parents had broken up. So I must have been, she was my best friend in primary school, and I love this girl to this day. I yearn for her in a friendship way. I actually heard the other day a song over the radio, and it was an Avril, oh no, it wasn't the radio. My sister was aux chording, and she's, I guess, throwing it back right now. Not her butt, but her music taste. And she played an Avril Lavigne song, and it was the song that, oh my god, what is the song? I can't play it because I'm gonna get copyrighted. I can't fucking think of the name. Anyway, and I started thinking of her because when I was like literally 7 was when we stopped being friends because I moved school, and I used to hear that song over the radio because it had just come out, and I would cry because I was yearning for my friend, my best friend. Anyway, point being, got off topic, she came over to my house before my parents had broken up, and we were having a sleepover. And I remember her asking me, is your dad gonna come home tonight? Because her parents weren't together. She went, is your dad gonna come home tonight? And I was like, yeah, why? And she was like, she started crying. She said, I want to go home. She was scared. She was like, why would there be a man here? I don't get it. And I was like, huh? And then I very soon became exactly like that, where I was like, like there would be men, and I would get so shocked. Like sometimes my friends' mums would have boyfriends, and I'd be like there'd be a man in the house, and I'd be like, oh my god, didn't know these things came inside. You know, like, tie this guy to something in the fucking yard, please. Like, why is he at the dinner table with us? Unhygienic, you know? Anyway, point fucking being, I think that being raised the way I was raised definitely gave me a it formed definitely the shape of my brain. And the shape of my brain is as such that I believe that the more fun, the more natural way of life when it comes to like family and kind of just relationships, family relationships, and like how you create home and family and the closest non-sexual intimate relationships in your life. We had everything we needed, whether that was me, my mother, my sister, or my best friend and her mother, and my mother's best friend and her daughter. Everyone was completely fulfilled. But for me, as the kid, I just grew up being like, this is how life is, and this is how I like it. And when men do come into the picture, they add something, sure, but we are complete without them, and it doesn't feel that there is an absence when they're not here. Because I was not raised to feel that we had an absent member of my family or that we needed someone else. And learning that you can lean on your friends completely, and learning that you can have very rich community with your friends is one of the ways that you will, if not, it is a prerequisite to living, I think, a good life if you're going to be in a long-term relationship. In my opinion, I think that goes, by the way, for also gay women, because I've also been in relationships with women, and I'm saying man as like the relationship figure because I was making the parallel to my childhood with my father. But what I want to make clear is when I say man, I do also mean person who is in your life sexually and romantically. And I also think that aside from all of that, being single, even when it's hard, even when you want company, does obviously force you to just figure it the fuck out by yourself. Like, I think that it makes you, for example, if you have a long day, if you have a hard day, you end that day in bed by yourself with no one to really text about it, maybe your best friend, but maybe they're busy too, and you don't have that one kind of dedicated person that you come home to at the end of the day, whether that's literally or emotionally, that you can kind of offload on, and they can maybe physically soothe you, hug you, hold you, and make it better, that makes you feel hits of dopamine and serotonin that maybe your best friend, even if you can offload onto her, even if you can have a hug, maybe it's not the same hit, you know? And definitely sex is a whole different thing, but I think that the hits of dopamine and serotonin that you get from having emotional conversations from someone that you're emotionally, romantically involved with, sexually involved with, is probably always heightened than what you're going to get from your best friend. So I think that's normal. But learning to get through a hard day and go to bed and soothe yourself through it and wake up the next morning knowing that you got yourself through that night and now you're taking yourself out for a new day will set you up for being healthier when you do finally get into a place where you have a relationship and you get these perks. I think that these perks are good. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm not saying that you are less able or less in tune with yourself because you no longer do that. But I think if you never do that, if you never learn to do that, if you never prove to yourself that you can and learn yourself in that way, that is just like a big gaping hole in your relationship to yourself. And I think that that's really sad because you are the only person who will be with you without a shadow of a doubt from cradle to fucking grave. Relationships can end suddenly. The person can decide to leave you tomorrow. They can betray you. They can pass away. Like, so many different things can happen that are completely out of your control, and you will be stuck with yourself through all of it unless you are the one who physically is not existing anymore. Like, you have to deal with yourself for your entire life. And if you don't learn to do that in your youth and walk through life with your head held high because you know that you've got yourself at the end of the day, you know that God forbid anything tragic happen, God forbid they leave you, God forbid they have an affair, God forbid they pass away unexpectedly, God forbid anything fucking happen, God forbid your mum gets sick and they can't support you emotionally and you never knew that they didn't have that kind of capacity because you've never gone through a hardship in your life with your relationship like this. And why would you know? You know you've got yourself because you've carried yourself through shit before. And it's like, I think that the way that you can walk through life self-assured is different when you know because you've done it. You have this like self-assuredness about you. And I also think that there is so much to be said for like like I said, I don't think that it's wrong to enjoy and to seek solace and comfort and sometimes even escapism in relationships. I'm not saying it's going to lead you to any good places if you do that. I'm just saying I get it. And I also think that being young and being able to call all of the shots, and like when you're in a relationship, it is inevitable. It's part of a relationship is that you are going to have to make way for a balance between your own needs and somebody else's. And obviously the premise of a fucking good relationship is that there shouldn't be an imbalance too much in terms of what you have to do against your own needs or create compromise for. Like, you should be pretty aligned. You definitely, as good of a thing as compromises, if you're compromising every fucking aspect of your life for somebody, that's crazy. That's not what a relationship is supposed to be, and nobody should be asking that of you. I think, though, that, like, especially when you're young, tending to your own needs is enough of a feat, okay? Let alone also trying to tend to someone else's, especially when you're young. That is often going to go against the needs of someone else. You probably need to be mobile. You probably need to fucking pack your shit up, move away from your hometown. When you finish college, you probably need to go somewhere else. You need to be able to go where you want, when you want. You need to be able to pack your life up and fuck off, because you are entitled to do that. If you can fucking afford to do that, if you've got yourself to a position where that is possible for you, to stop yourself in the name of like somebody else or your relationship to them, it's like there is obviously rare circumstances where for whatever reason that's the right choice. But like, I just think that it gives people a sense of almost complacency, and like, I think if you get too comfortable too soon in life, and a relationship is a great way to do that, because they are so comfortable. When they're good, they're so comfortable. And I think that when you're too comfortable early on, it doesn't really create probably the life that you ultimately would want to live in. You know what I mean? Like, when you don't like your fucking surroundings, you're going to do significantly more to better them than not being in the ideal surroundings, but you make them a lot more comfortable. And it's like, hold on, you could have gotten out of these surroundings and then got comfortable in the better surroundings. Like, this can come. You can have this. You can have this comfort, this intimacy, this tenderness. You can have all of the perks of a relationship and more. But like, if you get into that too soon, I do believe it can keep you stuck. And I think that it's a shame, because once you're in that place where you are in love with someone, or you think you're in love with someone, or someone is very emotionally intertwined with you, and there's probably I think a lot of people are more codependent than they realize. And like, I'm definitely guilty of that as well. And like, when you're literally intertwined with someone and your choices affect them as well as you, of course, you're going to end up making choices that aren't exactly what you want in the name of not being selfish. And obviously, I'm not vouching for anybody to be selfish if there is someone who's going to suffer from that. I am not saying to someone who's been in a 3-year relationship that they should choose themselves and pack up tomorrow and move across the country because that's what they've actually been wanting to do. Someone else is going to be affected by that. Obviously, now there's a different way to treat that. I just think that the best position to be in is to not be in a position where you have to consider anyone else when you're that young, when you're this young. Like, I'm vouching for people to be selfish from the jump, so that it never gets to the point where you have to sever someone away from you, because there is no way for you to pick yourself in that scenario fully as you deserve to, which is very fully, you know? Like, I don't know. Yeah. And I also think that being single encourages you to really deepen your other connections. Like, your friendships become significant, so significant, because that's your lifeline, that's your community, that's all of your emotional safety and solace, all of your laughter, all of your hugs, touches. Like, it's all going to come from your friends, and it should, for the rest of your life, all come from your friends as well. And that's not to say at one point there can't also be someone else who has a very, very special spot in your life that you marry and you're happy and you live forever. But like, I think that if you do the latter first, if you're in that deep, intense relationship first, you won't have the same need to look elsewhere for it. And you will end up, in one way or another, undervaluing your platonic friendships, undervaluing even your acquaintance community. Because I think people who are chronically single understand just how important every type of community is. It's important to have very close friends. And it's also important to have a good web of acquaintances. The old man that you see every morning because you do the same commute, or your neighbor that waves to you when you get home sometimes, when there's no one else to fucking come home to, or the person at the corner store that knows your name now because you're always fucking there, or the person at the coffee shop that knows your order and says hello. And like those things become, and they're important for everyone, like don't get me wrong, but I think that when you are lonely, when you are actively choosing to be alone, even at the cost of loneliness, because being alone is not always lonely, and I believe that with every ounce of my being because I live it. But if you are lonely, that's okay too. That doesn't mean that you have to resolve that feeling. But when you get into that place, which can be a healthy place, even though lonely is not always a healthy feeling, it can be a very healthy place. When you get there, you realize how vital things like that are. The old man in the coffee shop and the neighbor. And that is something you'll carry with you for the rest of your life. And I just can't help but think everything, every experience, every emotion, and every eventual success and relationship is so much richer when you've actually spent intentional, consistent time alone in your youth. And I say youth because this is my only experience of life. Maybe it also, again, I don't know, probably extends beyond that, but like I don't know. I'll let you know when I get there. But like, that was a bad accent. I'll let you know when I get there. I'll let you know when I get there. I'll let you know. Fuck it. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I think that my experience in this way is probably very common, where it's like when I'm not happy at work, for me, work is a big thing. It's a huge thing. And before I worked in a career that mattered to me, it was my studies that mattered to me. Because obviously I'm not like losing sleep at night over my fucking waitressing job, right? But I was losing sleep over my grades and what that was going to mean for my career one day. And now I lose sleep over this career and if I'm utilizing it properly and what I'm doing and where I'm going and where I want to be and all of these things, right? And sometimes when I feel that things aren't going well, that I'm not using my position properly, or that I'm not capitalizing the way that I could, or that I'm not having the impact that I should, or that I'm not whatever, or when I was at university, it would be that I wasn't studying hard enough, or that, God forbid, I was studying hard enough and I still wasn't getting the grade, or that I wasn't showing up to lectures enough and I was just, whatever, I wasn't taking care of myself. When those things would go wrong, and when they go wrong now, when I don't feel good about work, when there's not been a big success, when there's not been a good day of stuff that got done, when there's not direction or an obvious next step or something exciting on the horizon, it's always has been kind of a response of mine to think significantly more in those times about relationships, about dating, and about sex. And I use them because it's so basic, but it is literally just a hit of serotonin, it's a hit of dopamine. And it is the easiest thing to kind of lean on. And as nice as it is in the moment, because it's comforting, and everyone likes to feel nice things, what it stops me from doing is getting to a point of discomfort with the fact that I'm not happy with where my career is going, with the fact that I'm not happy about how much I'm not studying or not showing up for myself or whatever it might be. It stops me from getting to a point where I'm so discontent with that I have to fucking change it. It stops me from thinking about it because now I'm slightly appeased because I'm talking to someone and I'm getting little dopamine hits every time they hit me. Hit me? Hit me up. Sorry, excuse me. But you know what I mean? And like you're getting serotonin from sex, dopamine from sex, you're getting cuddles, warmth, you're indulged in this new world of something new and possibilities again. Something new is on the horizon. And it's like, as great as that can be when the time is right, if you're using it because things aren't going right in another area of your life and that's uncomfortable to you, that is a bad place to be because you aren't going to fix what's wrong. You're putting a band-aid over the feelings that wrong thing is giving you when you could be sitting in the feeling for a few more seconds and then maybe you'll make some progress. And that is something that I've really battled myself with over the last few years of my life, where it's like, I am so hard on myself a lot of the time about so many different areas of my life that I feel that I'm doing wrong or not doing well enough or not doing it all. And like when it gets bad, it is the only time that I start to care about romantic or sexual relationships with people. And then I start to develop crushes on people and I start to develop fucking, ideations about people. And it's like, none of it's real because the second my work picks back up, the second that an opportunity pops up or an inspiration strikes out, or I do something right that I didn't know was going to be right and now good things are happening, when things get uplifted again, the first thing to go for me is that crush that I had. It is no longer important to me. Like the dopamine and the serotonin that I was getting from thinking about them or talking to them or texting them, seeing them, is now not necessary because I'm getting it from what really matters to me, what was really causing me to be miserable in the first place, which was the fact that I feel unfulfilled in such a big and important part of my life. And I will say this, okay? I sat down with a life coach recently, okay? And he drew this thing for me that was like, I can't remember, it was like a bunch of circles, because he was like, he basically told me that balance is very important. And obviously I know this, but I've also really always struggled with balance. And he was saying that it's important to understand and name the different sectors of life and understand and decide how much energy you want to give to each one and how much energy you think you need to give to them based on how important they are to your overall happiness and well-being in your life. And he said that they typically look a bit like, 25%, 25, 50, 25. Like he was kind of breaking it down of like, this is how much time and energy you should give to this area of your life. And that would be, for example, friendships and connection outside of yourself and outside of a romantic partner. Or even maybe a romantic partner was in there, I can't remember, but that would be an example. And he said that for everyone it can be different because some people are deeply, deeply driven by their family relationships, their friendships, their romantic relationships. And that is where they get most of their fulfillment. Some people really want a big family. They get started young. They want kids. They want a house. They know that is fulfilling to them, that it's exciting for them. And he was telling me that for me personally, he said, your work is so important to you emotionally that if it is not given this amount of time and attention, nothing else is going to go well because it's the biggest sector of your priorities and what's actually going to give you fulfillment. And when it's good, everything else is going to work more harmoniously and feel good. But if you give 25% to work and 75% to your friendships, that is still not going to fulfill you. There is a limit to how much each one is ever going to make feel good in your life. You have to have harmony and you have to understand yourself well enough to know how much you want to place in each different aspect of your life. And one thing that really mattered to me, by the way, is kind of going off topic, but in case anyone needs to hear it, one of the things that I have valued a lot, this was really recent. This was like a couple months ago that I saw this guy, and he said something to me that has changed the way that I kind of go about things a lot since. And what he said was that the fact that my work-life balance is so heavily tipped towards I have to be fulfilled at work to be okay in every other aspect, he told me that isn't wrong. And he said it's not a case of priorities because priorities look different. Like priorities is that I have healthy relationships with my friends and family, that I tend to their needs, that I tend to their emotions, that I listen to them, that I know them, that I dedicate time and love to them, that I treat them right, that I stay in touch with them. Priorities is I will leave work if one of my friends is in a car accident. It's not that work comes above and beyond these people. It's that generally speaking, day to day, I have to be making progress. I have to be feeling good. I have to be focusing on work and on progressing in this area of my life in order for me to actually derive pleasure from the friendship aspect of my life. It's not to say that I value this above and it's not a case of value. It's not a case of fuck everybody else because my work is so important. It's more just a hardwiring. You are fulfilled by your work being good, by your work being, by motion in your work life, by opportunity, by learning in this way. And when I learned to kind of take a step back and be like, oh, when I think of people who care so much about their work, I think of people who are selfish and who overstep people or step on people in their personal life in the name of their work, or who neglect their personal lives or other areas of their lives in general, whatever it might be, in the name of their work. And So I never wanted to align with that. And when I would feel this sense of like, Jesus Christ, nothing in my life is pleasing me if work is bad and it's a horrible trait and I don't know why I can't see the value in X, Y, and Z and why I only am happy if this is good. When I realized that that doesn't mean that your priorities aren't in check or that you are some kind of greedy person who doesn't see value in friends and family and nature and hobbies, okay? When I realized that, I gave myself this permission to understand myself, which is, this is what fulfills you. This is how you are. The best thing you can do is act accordingly, and then everything is going to be perfect forever. Because if you can accept that this is how you are and throw yourself more into your work, because you now know, yes, I do need this to go well in order for me to be fulfilled, then your treatment to every other area of your life is going to be better. You are going to be more fulfilled, and you're the same person regardless. And that was a very interesting shift in perspective for me. And it's honestly freed me up a lot, and it's helped me to understand how to fix certain issues in my life, certain times in my life where I feel like shit. Now that I know these certain things about myself and have kind of understood, like, okay, this is how much I need to give to this. This is how much I need to dedicate, how much energy, how much time, how much passion do I need to dedicate to this in order for me to be feeling good about myself and about my life and feeling fulfilled. Once I really got to grips with it, and I'm still getting to grips with it, but once I understood that to be true, I realized how dumb of me it was to ever look for satisfaction or fulfillment in a romantic relationship before making sure everything else was good. Because even if that romantic relationship feels great, is great, if we prioritize each other, if we treat each other well, that is just not going to ever fulfill me. My speedometer, what are those things called? Like a speedometer on a car. My shit's never going to get to 100 just because this one area of my life gets to perfect. Does that make sense? And satisfaction that I feel over here is never going to transfer to satisfaction that I feel over here, because they are separate facets of life that affect me separately and at the same time. I can feel good in my personal relationships. I can be in love. If work isn't good, I'm still going to feel that. This is not going to remedy either. Does that make sense? And I think that by being single chronically for most of my life, that allowed me to learn that about myself. And then when someone said it to me and explained it to me, I was like, oh, period. Yes, that is what happens. And now I have the confidence to kind of say like, okay, well, bitch, I think they call this compartmentalization. I think that once you can understand yourself and what fulfills you, needs aside, what fulfills you? What do you want? And what's the happiest version of yourself? And how can you obtain it? And if the answer is not, I want to be in the perfect relationship and be in love forever, if that is your entire answer to your ideal version of yourself, by all means. But if it is not that, and if it is that you want a great job and you want to have a good work life, you want to have good co-workers, you want to go to a nice office every day, maybe you want to work from home, maybe you want to be online, you want to travel the world, maybe you want to be the best in the business, or maybe you will be happy if you just get to work in a specific industry. Maybe you're not trying to be a fucking CEO, you're just trying to work in X line of work, and you'll be happy once you get to do that. And also, you would love to be in a happy relationship, and you know that you won't be fully fulfilled until you have that. Maybe you want kids, maybe you know that you don't. I think understanding that whatever your full picture of fulfillment is, that actually doesn't make any sense, because I don't know what I'm getting at there. I mean, it makes sense, I think. I know, I'm fucking tired and I'm sweating. Well, anyway, I think that's a wrap for my episode today. I don't know what else I've really got to say, and I'm so fucking hungry. It's ridiculous. Oh my god, I have a sandwich in my fridge. I have a sandwich. I had this morning this like turkey. Actually, was it even turkey? No, I think it was salami. But anyways, I treated myself. I usually don't eat pork, and it makes me feel really sick when I do it. But this sandwich just I don't not eat pork because I'm like actively practicing any religion. I was just raised to not eat it. And I think if that happens for long enough, your brain actually just rejects the food. It's like I was vegetarian for like years and years. And then when I first started eating meat again, I like literally would be like trying not to throw up because the idea of having meat in my stomach was so fucking alien and revolting to me that it genuinely was the weirdest like involuntary feeling ever of like, this is so disgusting, but I wanted to start eating meat again because I was trying to gain weight. But I feel that way about pork, and I just like, number one, don't really like taste. Number two, I don't think it's very healthy for you, so like, what's the point? Number three, every time I eat it, I'm just like, it's definitely psychological, but I think I can feel it in my stomach, and like I can envision, oh my God, I just don't like it. I don't like it. But sometimes I like just eat pork. I don't know. Like sometimes I'm like, fuck it. That sandwich looks delicious and it also has like a piece of salami in it. Fuck it, I'm going to treat myself. Did that today. It was delicious. And I ate it with a pepperoncini, like the pickled ones almost. Oh, delicious. Casey, yeah, I'm salivating. One thing about me, can't talk about pickles or salt and vinegar crisps without immediately salivating. I love that shit. Oh, I've been eating a lot of pickles lately because I finally found a good brand in America. Couldn't find cornichons that I liked, but I have since discovered that there was a good brand. I had to go to Bristol Farms. Yeah, had to go all the way to fucking Bristol Farms, but found it. So that should hopefully relieve some stress for everyone. Okay, well, this was a treat. I love you guys. Thank you for spending so much fucking time with me this week. Me trying to love bomb you because I feel bad that I missed a few weeks and I was not on time. And also this is the second episode this week because I was late with last, so it went up on Tuesday and now it's Friday. So this is the second episode this week. Me love bombing you guys. Sorry. I love you. I do love you so much. I will see you same time, same place next week. Fuck it. Let me know if you want me to stay in this car and do more episodes in here because I am having a good time right now. It's so comfy in here. It's way comfier than my other car. I love you guys. I do. I love you guys. I hope you have a good day. I hope you have a good week. My final sentiments to round up this week's episode is break up with your partner immediately. Me spreading propaganda because the dating pool is too small right now. Everyone break up with your partner. It's bad for your mental health. You have the right to be selfish. Break up with them immediately. And then let's all meet up at my house to talk about it. Huh? Yeah? Cool. Meet up at my house for everyone that breaks up with their partners. Anyway, I'm done spreading propaganda this week. I love you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a good week. And I'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Mwah. Bye.